Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Thursday's edition of Premarket Info.
Well, the overnight range here, Joel, 6 points. We're up again. So just like we thought yesterday, they sell off in the morning, but they buy them all afternoon, and we end up a lot stronger once again.
Excuse me, 1656 has been the high in the pre-market. Just trading one tick off that. Yesterday's high, 1659.75, your first target on the upside. Above that, I guess we're going to 1700. Coming back on the downside, your close should provide minor support at 54 and a quarter. Overnight low at 1650. If it gets anywhere near there, I expect a little support to come in.
Let's go to gold here before we go into the earnings. We had lots of earnings, but let's go into gold because gold broke down again yesterday. It's breaking down again here this morning. It's just ugly here on gold. I mean, we look like we're going to go retest those lows.
Right. I was talking about that 1404 level yesterday, the retracement. I mean, that was just good for just a bounce, and that was about it. Then it just crashed through there. Crashed through the 90s and the 80s yesterday. You do have coming up on the lows in the move here. 35.60 was a high on the 18th, or excuse me, the low on the 18th, and 13.2120. So, boy, I don't even want to do I don't even want to do it. If you do a projection, of this drop from this drop, holy macro, gold's going to be at $1,000.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. What about silver? Bring up the chart on silver because it was trying to hold those lows there yesterday. If you go to the SLV, even we can do that, or you can grab the actual commodity if you
Yeah, I have
want.
to do the SLV. I forgot.
Go to the SLV.
Yeah.
We broke down.
Oh,
We tried to hold. We made new lows on the silver move. That is not good for you silver bulls because we've been a month here trading above that initial low that we had from the big spike down when gold spiked down. Now that we've made a new low here and we're making new lows this morning, I almost think this SLV could eventually trade under $20 here. So you got like another $1.60 here. We're at 21.60 right now. I'm not liking this whatsoever, this chart.
yeah, 2142 was the low that you had back in October of 2010. We are coming into that area now. 2173 was the low so far. That matches the other low. Well, took out the other low by 2196, but next stopping point for SLV 2142.
CSCO earnings last night. I cannot believe this move here. This is an incredible move. They beat. It was a great quarter. Don't kid yourself. But holy cow, this thing's up 11%. $2.27 trading up at 23.50 right now. Closed at 21.21. This is breaking out through all resistance here, Joel. This is the biggest move we've seen in Cisco in a long, long time.
Right, trading at the high of the pre-market session, 2351.
There's no quit. There's just no quit.
Yeah, pretty good volume associated with this too. Not monster volume.
Well, last night was monster volume, and right now it's just traded 1 million shares in the last like 7-8 minutes. So it's really starting to pick up volume now. Usually between like 7 and 8, people are still sleeping. They're taking it easy, but people are coming in here now. This thing is picking up steam, and this thing is starting to trade very, very actively. So I think you are going to see some monster volume here by maybe even by the end of the pre-market session. But wow, this is just flying.
Well, 2460 was a high back in November of 2010, and that was supported by a 2487 high in August of that year. But I don't know. I just would have to wait to see where this thing is trading when the market opens at 9:30. Check that pre-market high because holy smokes, has to be a lot of stock for sale here in the 21 handle, 22 handle, 23 handle. People with GTC orders have been looking for this. So,
that could hold down the opening price a little bit, but I don't know, man. It's not like New York stock where you got a lot of liquidity just sitting in a New York book that becomes active. I mean, a lot of your liquidity is on INET, ARCA, and the NASDAQ stocks. It is already probably trading out. A lot of it in the pre-market too. So I'm going to take the opposite side. It's this dog. We were saying last year's dogs are this year's leaders, and this is just another case of that. And Cisco here is just absolutely a classic example of this, that they're coming in and they're buying, like they've been buying, like the Best Buys from last year, and they were buying the Hewlett Packards earlier on, and now they're starting to buy the J.C. Penney's and starting to buy some of these education stocks. It's like people are looking for what is cheap, and they're buying it. And Cisco, has been cheap. It's been cheap for a lot of years, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some follow through here. So I am not shorting this stock.
Would you go 24? Would you go 23 versus 24 here?
It's too
On
tight right
blue
now. Like
line?
I'd go further out. I'd go like 24.50 to 22.50 because it could pull back 50 cents easy to get to 23. It could obviously rally up to 24. I'm more
Okay.
bullish than bearish though. I'm not coming in here and buying a stock when it's up 11%. But I'm just saying on pullbacks here, I think I think you're gonna have more buyers on pullbacks than you're gonna have sellers on rallies in this thing. I really do. And it's just
Okay, so
because this market that we're in.
we'll go long term. This will be a long term wait
Okay.
here. We'll go 24.50 versus 22.50.
Okay, I'll take you on that. Our usual
the
bet
bets.
there, Mortimer.
Okay.
Let's move on here. There's so many earnings here, so actually let's just go on a couple of the sympathy plays here just before, because
Okay.
Juniper is getting a pretty good hop here off the Cisco earnings as well. Juniper trading up about 50 cents here in the pre-market. 1707 is where it closed. Very light volume, only 600 shares here traded this morning. Traded a bit more actively last night, but this is a stock that could obviously get a good lift off Cisco.
Yep, 1780 is where it went with the immediate sympathy play. Since that level, finding support at 1750. So there's a couple numbers to look at. Whew, I like this 1750 here as a breakout, Dennis. You got this high, 1752 on the 10th. You got room up to move up to 18 here. So, hey, I'd be much more comfortable buying this at 1764 than I would the Cisco at 23 and a half.
Some of the other tech stocks are moving up higher. EMC is up about 30 cents here. Obviously, some of the other ones as well. So Cisco is helping the overall tech sector here this morning. So I'd obviously expect a little bit of relative strength in some of these stocks. But there's other stocks here too. We got Walmart earnings, Joel. If we flip over to the other sector, so it wasn't all peaches and cream here. Walmart missed $1.14 versus $1.15. They missed on the top line too. Look at the sales though, 114.19 billion versus estimates of 116.1 billion. Sales numbers are just incredible when you look at them. But
Phew.
they did miss estimates though. They did lower Q2 guidance, 122 versus 127. So they're 3 for 3 on bad news there. So Walmart here trading down $1.70 in the pre-market. $80 is obviously a big psychological level, which it did not breach. I mean, any approach into the 79 handle, I think it's going to be met with some sellers this time around.
Initial spike took you down to 77.50, and now you've rallied almost a buck since then, making a 78.43 high just as recent as a few minutes ago. So I think now that that 77 half level at pullbacks here, I think people might, hey, maybe I missed a chance to buy this on a dip. So I'm looking for that 77.50 to hold here, at least in the pre-market, perhaps early in the session as well. Looking on the daily here, the 78 level was holding a support pretty for quite a few trading sessions here.
Just under
We're looking at
77,
this low. Yeah, I like this 77.37 was the low on April 30th, excuse me. So that kind of coincides with the pre-market low of 77.50. So let's keep an eye on those two levels.
Couple other earnings. Dillard's reported earnings there last night. DDS, it's making a new all-time high here this morning. 240 versus 209. Dillard's just does everything right. I told you, like in the show a few months ago when I was in Chicago, I went to that Dillard's and it was just a mob scene. Everybody was in there buying stuff, and then J.C. Penney was in the same mall, and there was a ghost town in J.C. Penney. So, but Dillard's, man, they're doing everything right, and the stock continues to fly.
Very, 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 very light volume here. That 92.50 trade, only 200 shares have traded up
Yeah.
there. So someone's just looking for an offer, lifting it, getting it up on the tape. I'm sure we have to look, blowing away the monthlies here. This is an all-time high. So I don't know, being up 3.5 points here on this light of volume. No, this is a pretty lightly traded issue. So I'd keep an eye on
This
92.50.
is another
Really
one
number
from
we
the
have.
financial crisis. I was just going and grabbing the lows. It looks like it got down to $2.50 in November 30th of 2008. So it's been a hell of a return for those who actually picked a bottom here in the financial crisis when they thought Dillard's was going out of business. They showed them wrong, and boom, new all-time highs again for Dillard's. Kohl's KSS here making new highs as well, breaking out with a vengeance. 66 cents versus 58, so they beat by 8 cents. Guidance was kind of in line going forward, $1 to $1.08, where estimates were at $1.05, so they're within that range. But man, they're loving this report for some reason on heavy volume for Kohl's in the pre-market, 244,000 shares. It is trading up at 53.25, up almost $3.50 right now.
Yeah, well, it was up about $4.50.
Yeah.
Hit a 50, yeah, hit a 54.25 high here before pulling back. Since hitting that 54.25 high, you did pull back to the 52.60 level. So keep an eye on those levels. Longer term, I mean, this I'm sure this thing is just blowing. Well, actually, you do have some reference
Yep.
point here on the weekly. So resistance going way back, at
55.
55. Yeah, that's a couple bucks away here.
But who knows in
Uh,
this market, stuff just runs and runs and runs. And I like that reference point, Joe, that 55 number. That's your point. Now you had that double top from there in early November of 2012. You had a top of 55.25, followed up by a top of 55.03. I think that could be where it's trying to run to. We're still $1.75 away from here, but we've just seen how much, when stocks get the momentum going, they seem to go forever. I'd keep an eye on that $55 level. It could be a good number.
Keep an eye on it for a couple weeks from now.
That could be today, man. This market's crazy. The
Yeah.
stuff gets rolling. The stock just rallied for it. Was just up at 54.25 here 10 minutes ago. Can't go to 55. You crazy, man. That thing's moving. It can move. Now, it can give it all back too. Just saying there's going to be volatility in there. But if it got up to that 55 area, it's an interesting level. Tesla, TSLA. I don't even know what to say about this stock anymore. It's just absolutely insane. We were joking about the ranges it was having when it was having 8-point ranges. Now it seems to have even bigger ranges. The after hours range, Joel will grab the after hours low, but I believe the after hours range is like 18 or 19 points here. We're getting what was the low here, Joel? I'll give
Was I don't know what sent it down there. I
Well,
mean,
it was initially it broke on the headline and saying, okay, they're going to do basically a secondary offering, 2.7 million shares. So that's usually bad for the stock. But then it comes out, and we're going to pay off our energy department loan with the proceeds, use some debt, and then Musk is going to dump another 100 million into the company,
yeah,
and
that's
then it just turned around and started rallying hard. So what was that low that it made? It was incredible low.
77.31 was the
Ooh,
low one.
news
Yeah,
algo that sold that dead. That
oh
thing just
man.
turned around and started rallying. It's now up 10 more dollars here, Tesla, flirting with the highs that it made there just 2 days ago at 97.12. We haven't quite got there in the pre-market, but you ought to think that's going to maybe test that level. Big volume. This thing is just like basically gambling at the casino at this point in time. Very hard to give investment advice or anything on something like this because the volatility in this is just absolutely incredible.
Well, I was having a little fundamental discussion. I do talk fundamentals everywhere with my excellent analyst Jake here, and I'm like, they sold 5,000 cars in a quarter. I mean, come on. I mean, doesn't Ford or GM sell like 5,000 cars a day?
More.
Whatever. But he pointed out that this company, are not only they sell cars, but they provide a lot of the infrastructure, to other companies for electronic vehicles. And I guess the anticipation is, they only have a couple cars right now. I mean, once they start rolling out 6, 8, 10 different cars, imagine what the sales are going to be. When they have more products. So
Yeah,
I
I mean
mean,
it's
they're
kind of like a lottery ticket too. Like again here, and if they do start to get into the mass market, obviously the stock can go a lot higher from there. But it's but from a trading perspective, can you make sense? Like how do you really? I guess you look at your levels, you look at your lows, you can look at that high from the other day at
yeah,
97.12.
that's the only thing you have.
Yeah, because the ranges is just obviously absolutely incredible. It's going to have a 10 or 12 point intraday range probably today again. I almost think they're probably going to make a run for the $100. I don't know if it breaks out over $100. Who the hell knows where it's going to go? But just the volatility in this thing is awesome. I mean, if you get on the right side of it, you can make a lot of money in a hurry. If you get on the wrong side, ooh, not good news. She moves. We got AMD. Let's go to the analysts upgrades downgrades. AMD getting downgraded to sell today at Goldman Sachs, and obviously Goldman Sachs being your most influential analyst here. They didn't have anything good to say in this report. Basically, the price target I think is like 45% lower or something than the stock is right now. They said that they still see the PC weakness overall just going to hurt the stock, and they think that the recent move isn't justified. So you got to give it to Goldman, man. They throw it out there when they think, they don't care that the trend is straight up and this thing's been a rocket ship for the last month. They're just saying that move isn't justified, and we don't like it. We want to sell it.
Okay, well, they also said sell Tesla, but we won't mention that.
They're not always right.
385 low spike in the pre-market, took it down almost 50 cents off that. Got a quick rebound over up to 415, 416 high here, kind of just settling in around 49, 410. The stock has had a nice run here at the high of the move. 442 was the high yesterday. Needs to get up to 426 to fill the gap. But you've got a lot of people that are stuck short this. So I just don't think they're gonna, I just don't think they're gonna go out whaling on this thing and have it go down, a lot. But the pre-market low of about 380 coincides with the lows from May 9th and May 10th at 379 to 383. Keep an eye at that 380 level. If not, we could be heading down to 360 or even the double bottom you had at 344 and 347.
We got CHK getting downgraded at JP Morgan. That's trading down about 30 cents here in the pre-market. It's a stock that's actually been looking like it wants to break out. So interesting, JP Morgan saying, not so fast, and they're downgrading the stock here this morning.
Right, got close to $21 yesterday, 2 days ago, 20.96. We are trading below yesterday's low. Actually, Tuesdays and Wednesdays lows are right there, 20.47, 20.51. So that should act as resistance now. Looking at the chart here in the pre-market activity, you've only been able to get as low as 20.35. So doesn't look like this downgrade is really hitting the stock as of yet. Looking a little bit longer term here, you did have a low right around the $20 level at 20.06. So there's another potential support level for Chucky.
SodaStream, which has been on a hell of a run here too, pulling back this morning as Deutsche Bank downgrading the stock. It's down $1.65 or 2.6% here in the pre-market, closed at 63.05. It's trading down at 61.40, and this is another stock that's really been running as of late. The stock was $50 7 trading sessions ago. It ticked over $66 yesterday, but it's getting a pretty good pullback here this morning.
Yep, 61.05, getting a little bounce off that. I tell you, these analysts are really getting brave here.
They are stepping out on stocks that are running and saying, we don't like them, we're downgrading it. That's, it's not typical, really. The analysts all seem like they're mostly herd. They just jump on the bandwagon when the stocks are, climbing. They end up upgrading at the top a lot of times or downgrading at the bottom. But hand it to these guys, man. They're holding it out. They're going against the trend, and usually the trend is your friend, but they're saying not in this case. So give them some props, Joel.
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's what they're supposed to do. I mean, actually, take profits. Obviously, that they have to book some profits sometime here. Looking at, still got some ways to get down to the 2-day low at 59.30 here. That's seen as the next support level. We did smash through yesterday's low at 62.31. That's been the highest low of the move. So expect some resistance here if you get back up to the 62.31 level.
We're getting a little bit long, but I want to talk a little bit about the 13F filings that came out. Obviously, a lot of 13F filings here. Let's go to Buffett. He increased his positions in Walmart, Wells Fargo, and IBM. But what really moves, and when you talk about these 13F filings, is the new positions. When you see what they've dumped or what they've bought. Buffett's got a new position in Chicago Bridge and Iron, CBI. That was disclosed last night, and the stock immediately popped when that was disclosed. It's up $2 here in the pre-market. Very light volume, but obviously going to trade higher on the disclosure that Buffett is now long CBI.
the initial pop when the news came out took it up to 60.95. We pulled away a buck from that here, so we'll keep an eye on that level. But this is a pretty thinly traded
Then,
issue too.
yeah,
Yeah. So, but breaking out here, yesterday's high
yeah.
was 58.39. So if you're looking for a place for support, you can use yesterday's high, 58.39, and then you also had a $58 high in Chicago Bridge and Iron. I guess Warren's making a bet here on upgrading in the
I
infrastructure in
guess
that
he
country.
is. Warren's bullish. LMCA, Liberty Media Corp. He's got a new position in that one, which is LMCA. I disclosed a new position in VeriSign, VRSN. Dumping, just flying through these because we're running short on time. He dumped General Dynamics, which is GD. He dumped ADM, Archer Daniels Midland, and that's trading down 70 cents actually on that news. So he's moving some money around here. Soros obviously has the new J.C. Penney position that was disclosed on the 13F file last night, but we knew that one already. That was disclosed there about a week ago when J.C. Penney, or a couple weeks ago, when J.C. Penney started getting the pop. And let's stop and talk about J.C. Penney for a minute because the stock has earnings tonight. It's starting to break out once again here. After the Soros move, it actually consolidated nicely. We were saying between the 16 17 and a half area. It has now significantly broken out above that, trading up at 19 and a quarter this morning.
Yeah, looking at the pre-market action here, 1940 has been the high so far. I mean, all I can say is, after all these disclosure of Soros and the filings and whatever has had this nice run up, they better come out with some decent earnings.
Yeah, well, and it's funny though. Some of these, if it just comes out with, everybody always expected J.C. Penney not to have great earnings. Like we said, the stores are almost empty. So if they come out and just beat by a penny or something, that's probably considered great earnings. If something like Walmart that's been running and sitting up at the highs comes out and only beats by a penny, it's not enough. So it's all about sentiment going in too. But J.C. Penney has been running here. It has had a nice move since it bottomed under $14 there back in April. So basically in a month and a half, the stock is up about 30-40% here. So been a good move for J.C. Penney. The only thing other Soros did, he did dump his Morgan Stanley position. Actually, Loeb dumped his Morgan Stanley position too. So MS is trading down with a couple of big hedgies dumping their Morgan Stanley positions this morning.
Right, maybe they dumped that a little early. I know Mike Mayo was talking the stock up on CNBC yesterday, and as he was talking, it hit that 24.90 high.
Yeah.
This stock is just dude active in some of the preferreds during the financial crisis, and really this is one stock. I mean, if you look at the Goldman Sachs, and it's really the only comparable company with this. Morgan Stanley, I mean, still hasn't recovered.
No,
So
not even close.
yeah, this one, I know they've had the mergers and acquisitions and things like that, looking for synergies, but this one could actually have some more room on the upside.
Yeah, it's obviously got up to 79, I think was the all-time high back on June 30th, 2007, right before the financial crisis. Financial crisis obviously knocked it down. We all thought everything was going out of business when Lehman went down. It's got to $6.71 on a low on October 31, 2008. So it has come back, and it has come back quite a bit, but not nearly as much as, some of these like Goldman Sachs and if you look at the banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, a lot of those have come back substantially. Morgan Stanley's still quite a bit off of where it was, but all considering, a lot of these, well, if you look at Bank of America, some of the other ones haven't come back too, if you look at from the banks, but Morgan Stanley here trading down a bit on those disclosures here this morning. So, Joel, let's go back to the overall market. We have sold off a little bit here since we started the show.
Woo.
We're down 3 points here now at 16.51. Obviously, tomorrow we've got option expiration, which can add more volatility. Tonight from earnings, we talked about J.C. Penney. We got Nordstrom reporting as well. What's your take here for the market today?
Well, we just floated up.
You got your other
that,
stock, Energy Solutions.
Oh, yeah, Energy Solutions. Oh, boy.
There you go.
Yes. We took a hit when the recent numbers came out here, just holding above did not make a new low at the 1650 level. That is just a real soft number to me. I mean, we flew up yesterday, through the 1640 handle with very, very, very little resistance. So I expect not much support in the 1640 handle. If we could take out the 1650 low, then Yesterday's low was 1642.75. Obviously, we've just been making higher highs every day, and this streak has to stop sometime. But I'm looking at the next support level. Yesterday's low at 1642.75. If we could take out the 1650 level.
Well, that's our show for today, guys. Have a great trading session, and we will be back with you tomorrow.